I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time. Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I'm grateful that I have the honor every week of introducing you to another phenomenal woman, a woman who's taken charge of her life, a woman who has decided to stand in her power and then be in high service to other people. The women that I introduce you to are way showers. They are people that want to show you that the portals of opportunity are open. Just step through. So we do these once a week. We are on Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Amazon, and videos on YouTube. Subscribe and come back every week. And you can go to cynthiajames.net for all of my stuff, join my newsletter, and see my gifts. I'm very excited about our guest today. Her name is Dr. Margaret Paul. She's a best-selling author of 12 published books, a relationship expert, and co-creator of the powerful inner bonding self-healing process. We will be talking about that. She has appeared on numerous radio and television shows, including Oprah, and has successfully worked with hundreds of thousands and taught classes and seminars around the world for over 50 years. Margaret is a member of the Transformational Leadership Council. Margaret, I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, I'm so glad too. Looking forward to this with you.
Well, I had, heard about you for many years, and then I was so happy that I got to meet you at TLC. But I want to start at the beginning. Where were you born? How did you grow up?
Well, I was born on a farm in New York, but I was taken to LA when I was a year old, and I grew up in Los Angeles. An only child with fairly narcissistic parents. Like so many of us, we had a lot of dysfunction. And by the time I was 5, I was pretty much of a wreck. And my mother took me to a psychiatrist. And he told me, after talking to us, he told me, don't let your mother yell. Tell your mother not to yell at you. And because she was a screamer. And I remember thinking, I'm only 5 years old. She is not going to believe me. So she's not going to do anything. You should tell her. And then I thought, I can do a better job than you. And that's when I decided to do the work that I do. I was 5 years old.
Wow. And so you were like, dude, you got this backwards.
Right. You don't know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I'm 5 and I know what to do and you don't.
So from that point on, did you decide you were going to go to school for psychology and to become a therapist?
Yes, I did. I decided that.
And was it easy? I mean, did you have to work in school, or was school paid for by your family?
I had to work. My family did not pay for a lot. They didn't do well until I was like in my early 20s. And so I learned to work really early and take care of myself and basically put myself through school and ended up getting a doctorate in psychology. But I mean, it was going to happen regardless because people started sending me clients. I was the kid that everybody came to. So it was kind of natural for people to send me clients, and they did. So even before I got my doctorate, I had a full practice going because that's what I wanted to do. And people were sending me clients. So it had to happen.
Well, what I find interesting is that you had the confidence in yourself to just move forward and do whatever was necessary to manifest this dream that lived within you, this desire. And did you always want to be in service to people?
Always wanted to. Since I was a little kid, I was always trying to help my parents, but they couldn't do much there. But yeah, I was always wanting to be in service. It was really very deep in me to be helpful to people.
And okay, and so when did you decide to get married and have children? Because you're running this business and, it's a big business.
Yeah, so I had a ton of therapy. I mean, you come from a dysfunctional family, you got to do something about it. I had a ton of therapy, and I had 4.5 years of psychoanalysis. And when I was done with that, my analyst said, "You're analyzed," and I decided that meant that it's okay to get married. So I got married when I was 24 and had 3 kids. And it was a 30-year marriage. It was a challenging marriage, very challenging marriage. And but I learned so much from it. I learned so much from that marriage. But really, by the time 30 years came around, inner bonding had come in. I had met Dr. Erica Chopich. She's the co-creator. She had half the process. I had half the process. Our higher guidance put it together for us into a 6-step process, and I started practicing it. And it was a good thing, because by that time, I had been a caretaker for so long, taking care of my parents, my kids, my husband, my clients, that I was really ill. You cannot be taking care of everybody else all that time and I had no idea how to take care of myself until I started practicing inner bonding. And so I did start practicing it because I was really ill. And in practicing it, I stopped being a caretaker. I stopped taking responsibility for everybody else's feelings, and I started taking responsibility for me, and it shook up my life completely. My parents disowned me. My 30-year marriage ended, and 2 of my 3 kids were mad at me. But I got my health back, and I got my power, and that's when my work really started to soar.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack here because that was fabulous. Because the first thing I want to talk about is the importance of therapy. Because I don't know what I would have done without my therapy, because I was a mess too and trying to figure it out. And so what made you decide, because you had already gone through school, you were doing this for a living, what made you decide first and foremost to go to therapy for yourself?
Well, I actually started it way before then. I started therapy when I was 18. That's when I went into psychoanalysis.
Okay.
Because I was miserable, and I was actually, I wouldn't have killed myself, but I was close to being suicidal. I was really miserable, and I didn't know what was wrong. So I went into psychoanalysis 4 days a week for 4.5 years. And then
Wow.
it was after that I got married, and I still was anxious and miserable. So then I tried all sorts of different forms of therapy while I was having my kids, while I was in school to be a therapist. And I was a traditional psychotherapist for 17 years, not happy with that. So I wasn't happy with my therapy, wasn't happy with the therapy I was doing with my clients. That's when I started to pray for a process.
Okay, so what is inner bonding?
So inner bonding is an amazing 6-step emotional, spiritual process that teaches people how to access who they really are in their soul, their true personal power, how to take responsibility for all of their feelings, how to access a source of higher love and wisdom, whatever that is for the person. So it's so empowering, this process. It just really helps you learn to take loving care of yourself. We don't have role models for that. I mean, my parents were terrible role models for taking care of themselves. And so there's no place to look to really be in our power. And so we have to learn to access a higher source of love and wisdom and role modeling. And that is really what inner bonding helps people do, to know. We can't know who we are without seeing ourselves through eyes of truth and eyes of love.
Right.
We can't see ourselves through what we call the ego wounded self, the programmed part of us that really has no power. It acts like it's powerful, but it has no power at all. It's coming from fear and false beliefs. And so these beliefs get healed in the inner bonding process as people practice them. They become aware of the beliefs that are limiting them and limiting their personal power. And they really learn to develop what we call a loving adult. And a loving adult is who we are when we're open to learning. And in inner bonding, there's only two intentions. And I found this really powerful. There's the intention to learn about loving yourself and sharing yourself with others. And then there's the intention to protect against pain with various forms of controlling behavior. That's what the ego wounded self is. We got to control. We got to control getting love and avoiding pain and feeling safe. And that's what creates all the problems in our society, is operating out of that place. If people learned to operate from their heart, to know who they are and not project their self-loathing out onto others, and they learned to connect with a higher source of wisdom, I assure you, they could not hurt anybody. All the problems of our society really would be resolved when people feel their oneness. It creates a sense of oneness with everything, with the planet, with animals, with everything, and with each other. And we can't hurt each other when we're operating out of a loving adult space where we're open to learning and connected with our guidance. But when we operate out of our ego wounded self, that's where all the problems come from. That's where the hatred, the racism, the wars, the misogyny, all of that comes from that wounded self that thinks we're not good enough, that has deep self-loathing, and then projects that out onto other people.
Wow. Well, okay, ladies, I hope you're really listening to that, because that was powerful. But I want to talk about when you decide to take that kind of step to heal yourself, to step into your own power, to stand in your own greatness, the potentiality of blowing things up is real, because you've chosen from the wounded self, and now you are wanting to choose from this loving adult. And so I want to talk about how you managed when everything started blowing up, and you're feeling better, but you're watching everything around you kind of just expand.
Yeah. So that's where really learning to be in your heart with an intention to learn to love yourself and connected. It's about connecting with the source of love and wisdom and power and comfort that is here for every one of us. But most people don't know how to connect to it. Unfortunately, in our society, with the lousy food, it's lowered people's frequencies. It's kind of dumbed them down, and so many people are addicted to trying controlling rather than learning. When you're open to learning, your frequency goes higher. When you eat clean organic food, your frequency goes higher, and then you have an easy time connecting with that higher source of guidance. That's what I had to learn to do. I had to connect to that source, and that's what got me through. And that's what continues to guide me moment by moment. I'm asking all day long, what's loving to me now? What's loving to me now? What's in my highest good now? And then I do it. I don't let that ego wounded self take over with its lies and false beliefs and programming. So yes, it wasn't easy. It was devastating to find out as an only child, having been told for years that I didn't have to worry about retirement, to find out that my parents had disowned me. It was really scary. And it was devastating to lose my marriage. I wanted an intact family. And it was devastating when two of my three kids were furious at me for trying to learn to love myself. But out of that came my peace, my joy. I've never had that before. I never felt empowered before to take care of myself. And so even though it's hard, and it was really hard, I had that support of my higher guidance. I don't think we can do that at all without that.
Well, I just want to agree with you 100%, because I had similar experiences. And ladies, what I want you to know is it's like, when you decide to love you and honor you and be in connection the way she just described, not everybody's going to love it, because you've been the one taking care of them and the one doing what they wanted you to do and doing everything to be loved and validated. So now you're changing the dance. So not everybody's going to go, oh, hooray, I'm so happy that you're evolved.
That's right. They're not. No, especially when you were as good a caretaker as I was. I was totally tuned into everybody else's feelings, totally tuned into what anybody needed. I was Mother Earth caretaker. Well, nobody liked it when I stopped doing that and
Right.
started to do that for me. I was called selfish and what's the matter with you and all of that. But obviously, I thrived as a result. And that's how you know when you get your health and you get your peace and you get your joy, you know that you're being loving to yourself, regardless of what anybody else is saying.
Absolutely. Well, and I really want to talk about your thriving, because to publish 12 books, to be a best-selling author, to have touched hundreds of thousands of lives, and been doing it for 50 years, did you know how to really run a business and grow it?
No, I didn't know anything about it, and I hadn't planned that. I mean, it was an evolutionary process. The book started because I had things I wanted to say. When you have things you want to say, then you want to help other people with it. And it started that way. And then things, when I really started to take care of myself, that's when things started to explode around the world with inner bonding. And then I met people who could really help. I couldn't meet people who could help before that because I didn't have the frequency, like frequency draws like frequency, like it draws like. So at that point, I could meet people who could actually be of help to me in thriving and in growing my business. And at this point, I'm so thrilled. It has been actually 54 years since I've been doing this. And we have a fabulous facilitator program around the world where people are learning this process in their own countries. And there's so much that we offer, so many ways for people to learn the process. So it's so gratifying to me, but it wasn't like I set out to do it. I set out to help people. And I think this is very important for people who want to create a business. It can't come from, oh, I want to make a lot of money, or, oh, I want a big business. It can't come from that. It's got to come from a deep desire to help. It's got to come from your own integrity, your own honesty, because I know so many people that, oh, I want to have this big business and I want to make a lot of money, but they don't have that inner strength and that inner connection and that inner sense of integrity. They're not going to get there that way.
Right. Well, yeah, because the desire to be in service has to come first, but I want to talk about two things that were important, that you met people that could help you, which says to me, you weren't afraid to ask for the help.
Right. That's right. No, I have asked for help and I have prayed for help, and the help has come. And I feel very blessed with the help that has come.
Right. Well, and the second thing I heard was that you invested in yourself and your business. I think it's an important thing, because a lot of people have big dreams and desires and they want to serve, but they don't understand that the investing in your business, whatever that looks like, whatever investing in that vision, that dream, is a part of the equation.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to be devoted to it. There's a devotion, and that comes from a deep desire to manifest who you are in your soul. It's a passion. When people have a passion about something, they're going to find a way to manifest that. They're going to be devoted to doing what they need to do to manifest that. And I know that people will be successful when they have a passion. And it's really important to them, other than a passion to make money. People can make a lot of money, but it doesn't necessarily bring them joy if they're not following their soul's journey, if they're not evolving in their ability to share their love. I think that's why we're on the planet, to evolve in our ability to share our love, to manifest the gifts we've been given. And if people come from that inner place of their soul, they're going to be successful. If they're not, they probably won't find that.
Right. Well, I couldn't have said that better, but I wanted to ask you, because you've had a lot of success, including being invited to be with Oprah. I want to know, as all of this goodness started pouring in, was there any part of you that was nervous? Was there any part of you that was going, whoa, can I manage all of this? Was that happening at all?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I had to do a lot of inner work to be able, because I'm an introvert. I'm a highly sensitive introvert. Being out there in public was really challenging for me. But there was one thing that I did that made it possible for me to do that. And that is, I went inside to my soul, which we can call an inner child, our true self. And I said, you can mess up, you can make mistakes, you can fail, you can make a fool out of yourself, and I will still love you because I know that you're a very good, loving, and caring human being. And so go out there, mess up all you want, and I'm going to be here to love you, and our higher guidance will continue to love you. And that's what gave me the strength. That it was okay to mess up. The anxiety and the nervousness comes from that ego wounded self that says, don't make a mistake, and they've got to like you, and you better do it right, and you better be perfect. That creates so much anxiety. Well, I took that away when I said, I will love you no matter what. That's really important.
Okay, ladies, I hope that you really heard that, because, that self-acceptance and that self-love, no matter what's happening in the evolution of your life, can get you through anything.
That's right.
So, Margaret, how do people find you?
Oh, they can go to innerbonding.com. We have a big website. We have a free course, free 7-day course where they can get the basics of inner bonding. They can get it from the books. I have fabulous 30-day courses where one of them is Love Yourself, where you can really learn how to do that. And one's on relationships, one's on spiritual connection, one's on finding your beloved, one's on your passion and purpose. So there's a whole lot. I do weekly podcasts that are free. And all of that you can get on the website. And every other week, I'm on for an hour and a half live, where it's called the Inner Bonding Membership Community, where I go through an inner bonding process with people. And then I talk on a topic. And then I do what I call laser sessions, where I work with somebody like for 15 minutes. I'll work with 4 or 5 people. And people really get to see the power of inner bonding, because I can get right down to the core issue very quickly. And people go, oh, wow. Oh, thank you so much. And people get to see the process in action. And that's very powerful.
That is so beautiful. And how wonderful to see how many ways people can get your services wherever they are and whatever they're needing in the moment.
Right. And I continue to work online with individuals, and so do all of my trained facilitators, which are now all over the world. And so whatever, if somebody needs help, there is a way to get it, whether they can do it in the free ways that we offer or the paid ways we offer, it's there for them.
That's beautiful. Well, I ask the same last question of every guest. This show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the one thing, the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
I think the most important thing is to discover who we really are in our true soul essence. We are amazing. Women are amazing. And most women don't know it because we've been held down a lot. But women need to get their courage. They need to get their sensitivity. They need to get their intuitiveness. They need to get the different gifts that we've all been given. And so discovering who you are in your soul and learning to see and love and value that is one of the most important things you can do.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you taking time to be here today. You have such wisdom.
Well, thank you so much, Cynthia.
So, ladies, I end this show the same way every time. She just said it to you. You're amazing. You're powerful. You're dynamic. You have an innate ability to manifest the vision and the dreams that live within you. So the thing is like, do whatever is necessary to take care of you, to love you, to honor you, to support your vision coming forward so that you can be in high service to others. I am so grateful to be with you every week, and I will see you next time.